Hello and welcome to Calls. This is the May 28th MLB DraftKings lineup card. We're back after a pretty dismal showing yesterday. Must admit, not a lot I got correct, including my lock of the day going 0 for 4 with 3 Ks. That was spectacular. You're not going to be correct every time, but that was a pretty rough one. None of the pitchers that I liked yesterday performed very well. The stacks that I used just didn't turn out. It was just not a good day. But we're back at it to try to get ourselves back on the right foot with 6 games this evening on the nightly slate for DraftKings. We have 3 in the early window or the 7 o'clock window, and then 3 in the 10 o'clock window. So plenty of opportunity to make lineup adjustments as needed this evening, especially with a small slate of games. No rain in the forecast today, and a lot of excitement. To be honest, I am looking forward to stacking a bunch of lineups again today. Only a couple of pitchers that I really like, so we're going to have to try to find some value there throughout the show. But let's get into it. All statistics provided today and every day are from baseballreference.com. It is simply the best tool out there for anything baseball statistic related. You want historical seasons, you want player comparisons, everything you can ask for, even umpire stats. It's all there for you. Go check them out. It is well worth your investment. In the descriptions of all 3 streaming service videos, there are links to my social media. This is where I place my betting cards for the golf content I create and any interesting research that I find throughout the week for golf and for baseball. So if you want to be a part of that research, if you want to see it, let me know and then give me a follow at the links in social media, or links to my social media in the description. And as I said, let me know if you would like to see some of that live. That would be on a Tuesday. I generally do all of my research, especially for golf, on that day. But if you want to see a live stream or a show of that, let me know in the comments, or let me know on social media, and we'll figure out what time works for everyone to be a part of it, to show what all I look at during the week. And then finally, we are live. Chat is open. I want to hear from you all. Did you avoid the disaster that I did yesterday or last night? Did you use the correct pitchers? Did you avoid the stacks that I mentioned, or did you use the right players that were needed to successfully score high in the classic contest? So let's cover the May 28th DraftKings lineup slate. And we start with the first game on the docket, the Battle of Chicago. The Cubs visit the South Side to take on the White Sox, and a interesting pitching matchup in the sense that Keegan Thompson gets his 3rd start this season, normally working out of the bullpen. He has made a couple of spot starts. You see 4-0, very stellar ERA, has pitched really darn well in both roles, both starting or spot starting and in relief. 1.54 ERA, and very cheap today. That is probably due to the lack of innings expected. I'd imagine he would only go maybe 4 innings or so. But a lot of intrigue here, especially with the wind projected to blow in from left center field at Guaranteed Rate Field today. But first, let's cover the Cubs lineup against Johnny Cueto, who has pitched really well in his own right in 2 starts for the White Sox. Johnny Cueto, 12 strikeouts in 12 innings. He's not factored into a decision, but has averaged 6 innings per start. The whip is right at 1, 8 hits and 4 walks given up in those 12 innings of work. And for the Cubs, with the wind blowing in, there is not a lot I like here. I'm actually pretty darn high on Johnny Cueto tonight. I have highlighted Andrelton Simmons for the Cubs. And this will tell you a little bit about how I feel about the shortstop position again today. Andrelton Simmons, however, he is 2 for 6 in his career against Johnny Cueto. Both of those are doubles at 2,100. Since Andrelton Simmons does not rely on power with the wind blowing in, that should not affect him too much. I could see Andrelton Simmons being a very, very valuable part of a lineup, especially given the stacks that I want to do today and the prices that those stacks are going to be. So Andrelton Simmons provides some unique and potential value, standalone value today at shortstop for the Cubs. And then Ian Happ as well. He is only 1 for 4, but he has drawn a couple of walks against Johnny Cueto. His one hit is a double. But Ian Happ's having a pretty darn good season for Chicago, or for the Cubs, I should say. Hitting .275, on base almost 39% of the time, .442 slugging. He has 25 walks opposed to 26 strikeouts, so the chase rate's not there. Going to get on base. So I really like Ian Happ as some more standalone value today for the Cubs against Johnny Cueto. I did not list him because all of his point production is based on power, but Patrick Wisdom, if you are so interested in using a stack of Cubs, Patrick Wisdom is 2 for 2 in his career against Johnny Cueto. Both of those are homers. But again, I don't necessarily like that play today with the wind blowing in. And Johnny Cueto has been pitching pretty darn well. So I figured I would mention Patrick Wisdom, even though I did not highlight him. He is 2 for 2 in his career off of Johnny Cueto with 2 homers. But let's cover the White Sox lineup here against Keegan Thompson. Another pitcher of value, of intrigue, like I mentioned. I think I'm higher on Johnny Cueto just because of the innings expectation. You still get a fair modicum of strikeouts from Cueto. But for the White Sox lineup, Keegan Thompson had 1 start against them last season. And it appears that the White Sox fared pretty darn well. I've highlighted the 2 players that have 2 hits off of Keegan Thompson, Tim Anderson and Jose Abreu, 2 for 3 and 2 for 4 respectively. Tim Anderson has a double and a homer as his 2 hits, while Jose Abreu only has a double. So Tim Anderson at 5,000, represents some pretty good value at shortstop, especially considering the lack of options I see there today. And Anderson, well known for being just a spectacular hitter, does not need the power to contribute. 7 stolen bases, 14 extra base hits. He's not going to walk a lot, so you're going to be banking on the base hits, maybe a steal, catch a gap for a double. But really like Tim Anderson today. And then Jose Abreu, 11 doubles, 5 homers. Like I said, 2 for 4 in his career against Keegan Thompson. A lot of these Chicago White Sox hitters have at least a hit in this play or their game last season against Keegan Thompson. Moncada 1 for 1 with a walk. Grandal 1 for 3. AJ Pollock 1 for 5. So there is some ability here to put up some runs. I'm just a lot lower on them with the wind expected to blow in today on the south side. One person that I'm not going to go to in this game is Wilson Contreras. He is 0 for 5 in his career against Johnny Cueto, 3 strikeouts. I want no part of Wilson Contreras, especially with the price tag that's associated with him. So there's a look at the game on the south side in Chicago. I really like Johnny Cueto. Keegan Thompson provides some intrigue if you think that he's going to get enough innings to accrue those points. And then I don't like a lot of the hitting in here. If I do, it's going to be Tim Anderson, or if I'm trying to save money, it'll be Andrelton Simmons. We move to Game 2 on the docket, where this is one of the lineups that I am trying to stack as much as I can we are in the desert. And with the Dodgers taking on the Diamondbacks, you can see just how many players I've highlighted here for the Dodgers. But let's cover this pitching matchup. I mentioned last night how I was really excited to plug in Tony Gonsolin in a lot of the lineups that I was going to make. And then it turned out that Pepiot earned the start. They pushed Gonsolin back a day, which means I get to use him today in a smaller slate. So I'm really looking forward to that. Only 9,100, so he's not going to break the bank. And you see all the hitters that I've highlighted for Arizona, all of one. Gonsolin's pitched extremely well, 4-0, 1.62 ERA, averaging 17.5 points per start. A lot to like here. 37 strikeouts in 39 innings. The Arizona offense isn't the best, so I really like Tony Gonsolin today. And then let's cover the Dodgers lineup. I only had room for 5 players. Realistically, there are probably 7 that make a whole lot of sense. But let's go through the ones that I've highlighted here. Will Smith, 5,300. You're going to be paying the premium for him. That's another reason why I don't want any part of Contreras. When Will Smith's numbers against Merrill Kelly in his career, 7 for 14, a double and a homer, averaging 2.1 points per plate appearance. There's just a lot to like here with Will Smith, especially in the loaded Dodgers lineup. Freddie Freeman, seems like I highlight him every time, but his numbers against Merrill Kelly are also spectacular. 5 for 10 with 4 doubles, hitting 500 against him, 2.3 points per plate appearance. And then Freeman's having a heck of a season anyway, 310, almost slugging 500. A pretty potent 1-2 punch there, or hitting second and fourth in the Dodgers lineup. Gavin Lux is somebody to take a look at if you're not trying to break the bank on a Dodgers stack and yet trying to get as many players in there as you can. Gavin Lux against Merrill Kelly, 4 for 9 with a double. Now, he does have 4 strikeouts, so that is a little bit of the upside that you're getting with Merrill Kelly, is that he is a strikeout pitcher. But Gavin Lux, 4 for 9, hitting 262 on the season, 17 walks versus 25 strikeouts, so he's going to get on base. The issue with Gavin Lux is he generally hits ninth, so he's not going to get a whole bunch of plate appearances. I think that's going to be mitigated today, as I expect the Dodgers to put up a lot of runs. And then 2 outfielders that I've highlighted here, Mookie and Cody Bellinger. Mookie, 5 for 15 with a double and 2 homers in his career against Merrill Kelly. And then Cody Bellinger, 5 for 17 with a double and 2 homers as well. So Betts averaging just a little over 2 points per plate appearance. Cody Bellinger averaging right at 1.9 points per plate appearance against Merrill Kelly in their career. And then the 2 players that I could honestly give you some more options to stack, I guess. I just ran out of room. If Max Muncy plays, and I doubt he does as he's dealing with an injury, but if he is in the lineup, take a long look at Max Muncy. Now, he is very expensive, but Max Muncy in his career, 9 for 21, hitting 429 against Merrill Kelly in his career. 2 doubles and a homer, drawn a couple walks, averaging 1.9 points per plate appearance. The issue is Muncy has really struggled to start this season. Only hitting 150, on base 32% of the time, so a little bit better. But yeah, like I said, if he's in the lineup, it's worth a consideration, but he's very expensive. Not sure I would want to go there today. And then I did not list him, but Trey Turner, the most expensive in the shortstop market. It is a very shallow shortstop market, but I just did not like the price enough to highlight him over these other 5. But Trey Turner is a very good play if you have the money to spend up for him. He's hitting 455 in his career against Merrill Kelly. They're just all singles, so you're banking on either a stolen base or getting driven in, which is very likely today, as the Dodgers have just astronomical numbers against Merrill Kelly. And then Justin Turner is also somebody to take a look at. 7 for 18 in his career against Merrill Kelly. So a lot to like in this Dodgers lineup. The one player that I would not go to is Chris Taylor. Now, even his numbers are decent, but he is only hitting 263 versus Merrill Kelly, has quite a few strikeouts. He's averaging less than 1 point per plate appearance against him in his career. So that's one player that I would not go to today in the Dodgers lineup. But really, honestly, anyone else is probably going to be a pretty good play if you want to load up with Dodgers. And I'm really suggesting you do, as Merrill Kelly has just not pitched well against them in his career. And then on Arizona's offensive side, taking on Gonsolin. I've just mentioned how much I love Gonsolin. The only player that has really good numbers against Gonsolin in their career, Ketel Marte, 5 for 13 with 3 doubles. So he is averaging 1.7 points per plate appearance. But in a lineup that I predict to struggle today, I'm not really all that interested in Ketel Marte, especially at the price of $4,900. Now, while shortstop is very shallow today, I don't see that at second base. There are quite a few second base options that I like today. So I really don't have any interest in Ketel Marte, but his numbers against Gonsolin are worth mentioning. But that is a look at the Dodgers and Arizona game. I'm probably trying to full stack as many times as I can in as many different ways as I can this Dodgers lineup against Merrill Kelly. We move to Game 3 and the third of the 3 games in the 7 o'clock window. It is the Phillies at Citi Field to take on the Mets. And as I mentioned yesterday, I was really excited to tack Zach Eflin in this game last night. And then Bailey Falter got the start. But you can see here, I really like this game offensively for both sides. So I'm going to have a lot of combinations of lineups where I'm stacking Dodgers, Mets, Phillies in some kind of combination. The wind is supposed to be blowing straight out to right field. So any left-handed power is going to play well, I believe, today. And the lineups have had a lot of success against their opposing starting pitcher in their career. So let's start with the Phillies against Taijuan Walker, who has pitched well this season. 2-0, 2.70 ERA. He has been hit around a little bit. Not a lot of strikeouts, so his upside as a starting pitcher using him is kind of capped, especially with the numbers that these Phillies have put up. Let's highlight JT Realmuto, one of the 2 or 3 catching options that I really like today behind Will Smith. Realmuto in his career against Taijuan Walker, 4 for 13 with a homer. Has also drawn a couple walks off of him. And Realmuto on the season, not having quite a JT Realmuto type year so far. Only hitting 238, but the extra base power is there. He's also stolen 3 bases. Just an all-around, probably the best catcher in baseball, all things considered. And at 3,700, he's not going to break the bank like Will Smith will. I really like JT Realmuto today. And stacking Phillies, and that really brings up Realmuto's interest, I guess is the word I'm looking for. Alec Beam at third base for the Phillies also has pretty good numbers against Taijuan Walker in his career, hitting 400, a double and a homer, drawn a couple walks. Alec Beam is a very patient hitter, not a lot of chase rate on the season. Beam is hitting 290 on base 34% of the time. Doesn't have quite the extra base power that some of his Philly counterparts do, but I really like Alec Beam today at third base, averaging 1.8 points per plate appearance. There are some decent third base options, but what really brings the appeal for Beam is the Philly stack. And then 3 outfielders that I've highlighted for you all 3 outfielders for the Phillies. You've got Harper, Schwarber, and Castellanos. Again, the wind expected to blow out to right field. Probably no explanation needed on Bryce Harper and Kyle Schwarber. However, Harper is hitting 250 but does have 2 doubles and 2 homers in his career off Taijuan Walker. And Kyle Schwarber, 5 home runs in his career against Taijuan Walker. That is in 17 plate appearances. This is some absurd numbers. I don't think I've seen anyone with as many plate appearances against a pitcher averaging almost 4 points per plate appearance. Schwarber's my lock for the day. I really, really like that matchup for him. And even if he doesn't hit a home run, patient hitter, drawing walks, I expect the Phillies to put up some runs, so he's going to either drive people in or get driven in. I really like Kyle Schwarber today. And then Nick Castellanos. No slouch in the power department either. Does not have to pull the ball to get his power either. Very adept at going to right center. His numbers against Taijuan Walker are very good. 4 for 12 with 2 homers. He's averaging a little over 2 points per plate appearance. And Castellanos having a decent season himself, hitting 253, slugging 408, 12 doubles, only 5 homers. But the extra base power is still there. Really like Castellanos as well with the price that is associated with him at $3,700. So the one player that has some pretty good numbers I did not highlight, especially because I do like so many second base options. Gene Segura at the same price that Ketel Marte is at, $4,900. Now Gene Segura 5 for 14. So hitting 357. The issue is only singles. He does have 1 homer, but the rest are singles. So he's only averaging 1.5 points per plate appearance. If he were hitting higher in the lineup, I would be much, much more interested. Hitting 6th or 7th or where he does in this Phillies lineup, I was wanting to see his price a little bit lower. Still a good play, especially if you're going to stack Phillies against Taijuan Walker, but the price is a bit hindering. I like Rio Muto, I like Beam, I like Castellanos quite a bit more because of the lesser price tag. So that is a look at the Phillies side. Now let's look at the Mets against Zach Eflin, and another stack that I would be very, very excited to use. Both first base options excite me quite a bit. Let's cover the obvious. Pete Alonso, 3 for 17 in his career against Zach Eflin, 2 of those homers. So it is a bit boom bust. It's a lot to pay, but Pete Alonso is on fire right now. He is locked in. Pretty good play if you have the money for him. But the first base option that's really, really intriguing if he's in the lineup is Dominic Smith. Smith in his career against Zach Eflin, 7 for 17, 4 doubles, averaging 1.7 points per plate appearance against Eflin in his career. Now he does have 5 strikeouts, and on the season, Smith only hitting 200 with very little extra base power. I believe he is going to get a boost in the from the career numbers against Zach Eflin, and with the wind blowing out to right. I think this could be a good day for Dominic Smith, and if using him for some value. So 2 first base options that I really like for the Mets. And then Jeff McNeil, second base and outfield eligibility today. He is hitting 320 in his career against Zach Eflin with 3 doubles and a triple. And then McNeil hitting 319 on the season, on base 37% of the time. He's just having a great year. 13 doubles, only 2 homers, but getting on base at a decent clip. Sometimes hitting 3rd, a lot of times hitting 5th. So if he's hitting 3rd, I'm really, really interested, hitting ahead of Pete Alonso, behind a player we're going to cover here in a bit. But Jeff McNeil, one of the second base options that I really like today. Eduardo Escobar, I highlighted him last night. He didn't have the greatest of games. He has a lot less experience against Zach Eflin, but the experience he does have, pretty good. 3 for 5. They are all singles, but he's 3 for 5 at a third base position that while not as shallow as shortstop, runs out of pretty good options pretty quickly. So a mid-priced option, especially if you're thinking about stacking Mets, think about Eduardo Escobar. And then probably the second player that I'm really looking to lock in today, especially if using Mets stacks, is Starling Marte. His season has really picked up from a slow start. He's up to 274. He has 7 steals, leads this Mets team in steals. He's also recently been promoted to second in the lineup. He's averaging all the way up to 1.75 points per plate appearance on the season. And then you get into his numbers against Zach Eflin. 7 for 13, so hitting .538 in his career against Zach Eflin with 5 doubles and a homer. A lot to like here. Really like Starling Marte, averaging almost 3 points per plate appearance in his career against Eflin. Give me as much Starling Marte as I can. Even if I'm just mini stacking the Mets, I'm going to be seriously considering Starling Marte. So a few of the players that I am not going to touch in this game. Rhys Hoskins, 1 for 12 in his career against Taijuan Walker. Quite a few strikeouts as well. So I'm nowhere near Rhys Hoskins. And then Odubel Herrera, also 1 for 10 in his career against Taijuan Walker. So I want no part of Rhys Hoskins or Odubel Herrera. I can do without Odubel Herrera. There are quite a bit of outfield options today in this game alone. Rhys Hoskins hitting leadoff, thinking that there's going to be a lot of runs scored, maybe, but just the numbers against Taijuan Walker don't warrant it. 1 for 12. And then on the Mets side, Francisco Lindor, 1 for 10 with 4 strikeouts against Eflin in his career. One of the big reasons why shortstop is pretty shallow today, in my opinion. I don't want any part of Francisco Lindor. Yes, he's been playing a lot or hitting a lot better lately. I just don't want any part of Lindor thanks to his numbers against Eflin or lack thereof. And then another player that I don't want any part of from the Mets is Brandon Nimmo. 1 for 14 in his career against Zach Eflin. So I'm out on Lindor and I'm out on Brandon Nimmo. One other player that I'll mention from the Mets side, if he is in the lineup, especially because he will be a price saver at second and third base eligibility, is Luis Guillorme, I think is how you say it. He is 2 for 7 in his career against Eflin with a double. He's hitting .294 on the season. Now, it is an empty .294. He doesn't have a lot of extra base power, but he is getting on base his fair share, 10 walks versus 11 strikeouts. If Guillorme is in the lineup, take a look at him, especially if you need some price savings to get your Dodgers stack, your Phillies stack, Mets stack even. Take a look at Guillorme if he's in the lineup. So that's going to do it for the 3 games in the 7 o'clock window. Let's move to the first game on the docket that's in the 10 o'clock window. We are at Angels Stadium where the Blue Jays take on the Angels. And this is a game that I don't want to say I got wrong, but I just was nowhere, I had no confidence in going anywhere near this game last night. Manoah pitched extremely well. The Blue Jays offense seems like it's starting to get on track today. Having said that, these Blue Jay hitters have very little experience against Michael Lorenzen. Lorenzen, his first year in the American League this season. The one player that does have some experience against Lorenzen has had some good experience. It's only 2 for 3, so don't put a whole lot of stock into it. But Raimel Tapia, 2 for 3 with a double in his career against Michael Lorenzen at 2,600, provides a lot of intrigue at a pretty bargain basement price. So Tapia has been playing every day, generally hitting 7th, 8th, and if this Blue Jays lineup continues to click like they have been for the past 3 or 4 days, Tapia provides some value. But that's really all I have for the Blue Jays. Obviously, any strong feeling you have, Bo Bichette, Vlad Guerrero Jr., Springer, if you feel good about the Blue Jays offense, fire them up. They just don't have any experience against Michael Lorenzen. But for the Angels lineup against Yusei Kikuchi, Kikuchi first year in Toronto, coming over from Seattle. These Angels hitters have quite a bit of experience against him. I've highlighted quite a few players here. First off, Shohei Ohtani, first base and outfield eligible, 4 for 12 in his career with a double and 2 homers, averaging 2.3 points per plate appearance against Kikuchi. Now the issue is the wind is supposed to be blowing in at Angel Stadium, in from left center, so that might hinder your home run expectancy from these Angels hitters. But Ohtani has some great numbers against Kikuchi, and wind blowing in is not going to affect the power of Shohei Ohtani. He does not hit wall scrapers. The same token, I'm going to skip the next player on the list, Mike Trout. He does not have wall scraping power. He's 3 for 9, the double and a homer in his career against Yusei Kikuchi. What's there to say about Mike Trout, who I think is the best player in baseball, hitting .310, 13 doubles, 12 homers, not running as much, but when you're hitting the ball out of the ballpark or hitting in the gaps, you don't have a chance to steal. So I really like Mike Trout today. And then Taylor Ward as well has some really, really good numbers, albeit in less plate appearances against Yusei Kikuchi. 4 for 5 with a double and a homer. Again, a lot less of a sample size, but what we do have is very, very good against Yusei Kikuchi from Taylor Ward. So if I'm not using a whole lot of a Philly stack or a Met stack, I would think about using at least a little bit of an outfield stack with the Angels. You're going to be paying for it, but I really like the matchup against Kikuchi. And then I've mentioned that I like a lot of second base plays today. One of those is Luis Rengifo. He is having a decent little season, 292. It is a very empty 292, only 1 double, 1 homer, but is hitting 292, getting on base 36% of the time. And his numbers against Kikuchi, 3 for 8 with 2 triples. Rengifo, not somebody who relies on the home run to produce the points. So really like Rengifo today against Kikuchi with his numbers and at the price. Kind of like Guillermo from the Mets and Phillies game. Whoever you're stacking, think about the cheap second base option if you're not going to spend up on your second baseman today. So that is a look at the game in Angel Stadium, the Blue Jays and Angels. We move to Game 5 on the docket, Houston in Seattle, and this is a game I got completely wrong last night. I thought the Astros were going to light up Chris Flexen. He pitched extremely well. Any Astros stack that I used, mini or total, blew up any lineup that had any chance at all. Just did not get this game right. And today I am seeing a little bit of a disparity between my thought process and DraftKings. So the pitching matchup, Jose Urquidy, 4-1. Now he does have a 4.24 ERA. Been getting hit around a lot. 52 hits in 40 innings. So the whip is really high. Only 30 strikeouts in those 40 innings, so not the highest strikeout rate. That's probably what's keeping his price down at $6,000. He is only averaging 11.75 points per start. But I kind of like his matchup today against the Mariners. And you can see who I've highlighted for the Mariners, all of one person. But let's cover the Astros lineup first against Logan Gilbert, who has pitched really, really well this season. 4-2, 2.60 ERA, more strikeouts than innings pitched. The whip is really, really respectable at 1.13. But some of these Astros hitters have some pretty good experience against him, albeit in a bit of a smaller sample size, anywhere from 5 to 9 plate appearances. But let's start with Jose Altuve, the premier second base option, I think, today. 5 for 9, 3 doubles and a homer, averaging 3.1 points per plate appearance in his career against Gilbert. A lot to like here. Alex Bregman, 4,700, a little bit expensive on the third base side. But he is 3 for 5 with a double in his career against Logan Gilbert. Now, Bregman is not having the greatest of seasons, only hitting 231, but he is getting on base plenty, and especially for an Astros lineup that can go off at any time. You like that. And then Yordan Alvarez has some okay numbers, just not as much of a sample size. So I'm going to highlight Michael Brantley at 4,100 today in the outfield for the Astros. 4 for 8. They're all singles. So that caps a little bit of the upside. But Brantley, good numbers in his small sample size against Logan Gilbert. And Brantley hitting second in this lineup, hitting 280, 30 on base 36% of the time. So Jose Altuve, Michael Brantley is a mini stack that I like. You're going to be paying the price for Altuve, but Brantley's a pretty good mid-tier option, I believe, today in the outfield if you are wanting to stack Astros. And then on the Mariners side against Jose Urquidy, the one player that has any amount of success at all is Ty France. 5 for 11, a double and a homer, so very, very good numbers against Urquidy. And having a fantastic season, hitting 344, slugging more than 510. Just a great season overall. But the rest of this Mariners lineup has not fared well against Urquidy. J.P. Crawford, 1 for 7. Another reason why I think shortstop is a pretty shallow market today. Lindor, not very good numbers against Eflin. J.P. Crawford, not very good numbers against Urquidy. Adam Frazier is 2 for 3 in a very, very small sample, and I like a lot of other second base options more than him. Jesse Winker, 0 for 3. Luis Torrens, 1 for 5. Taylor Trammell, 0 for 5. So Urquidy's pitched pretty darn well against the Mariners, minus Ty France. So Urquidy also provides some interesting upside, I would say, at 6,000. Now the strikeout total is limited, so you're really banking on the innings pitched. He has been hit around quite a bit, so at 6,000, if he goes 5 and a third, and doesn't give up a ton of hits, and 2 or 3 runs, it'll be worth it. But Mariners' offense is actually pretty good, so we'll see about that. Urquidy is an option I like if you're really trying to price save in the pitching market to squeeze in a stack of Phillies, a stack of Dodgers, and whatnot. And then the final game on the slate tonight, Pittsburgh in Petco Park to take on the Padres. Interesting pitching matchup, and you wouldn't think that from the name on the Pittsburgh side. Everybody knows about Joe Musgrove, but JT Brubaker in his 2 starts against the Padres, both of them coming last year, but both starts were pretty darn good. And at 8,000, now you see he is 0-4. That's a lot of the product this season of the Pirates' offense struggling. 4.64 ERA, not the best. 47 strikeouts in 42 2/3 innings. So Brubaker is racking up the strikeouts. The issue is he's been wild. 21 walks in those 42 2/3 innings. That really caps the amount of points that you can expect from him. He's only been getting 12 points per start. A lot of that due to the wildness, still giving up his fair share of hits as well, so the whip is really, really high. But let's cover the away lineup first in the Pirates against Joe Musgrove. No explanation needed. The highest priced pitcher on the board today, one that I really like, 5-0, Sterling ERA, 51 strikeouts in 52 innings. It's the whip is under 1. Musgrove is a play that is going to be chalky, and one that I'm probably not going to be able to avoid. I just think it's going to be a pretty good matchup today. and with the wind blowing in at Petco. Petco, normally a pitcher's park, wind blowing in. You got to like that. But for the Pirates, I've listed their two outfielders. Brian Reynolds, not in love with the play at all, but his numbers are okay in a very small sample size, 2 for 4 with a walk. Again, it's the price that really keeps me off of Brian Reynolds, especially with so many options that I want to stack on these other teams. But one player that could provide some standalone value for the Pirates is Ben Gamel. Ben Gamel, 6 for 16, 2 doubles and 2 homers in his career against Joe Musgrove, averaging 2.25 points per plate appearance. And Gamel's having a pretty good season, hitting 263, on base 35% of the time, only 3 homers, but 7 doubles and a triple as well. Almost a 400 slugging. Been generally playing every day, even against left-handed pitchers. But with Musgrove, the righty, really expect Gamel to have a pretty good game. So Gamel provides some interest or intrigue for some standalone value today at 4,200. And then for the Padres against Brubaker, who I've mentioned has pitched pretty darn well against the Padres in his 2 starts last season. The 2 players I'm going to highlight here for you. First off, Eric Hosmer, 2 for 4 with a homer. I don't think you're going to get the power output from Eric Hosmer, but he is hitting 331 on the season, getting on base almost 40% of the time. And this Padres lineup can score with the best of them. So wanted to highlight Eric Hosmer. And another second base play I like is Jake Cronenworth, generally leading off for this Padres lineup. He is 2 for 5 with a double in his career against JT Brubaker. Again, pretty small sample sizes, but those two have had some pretty good success. Manny Machado, 0 for 2 with a walk. Jurickson Profar is only 1 for 5. Kim is only 1 for 5. Luke Voigt, 1 for 3. So not a lot of experience. The 2 players that have any kind of numbers against JT Brubaker I have highlighted. So there is a look at the 6-game slate. I'm going to bring it back to the home screen here. I'm going to bring up DraftKings, see if we have any lineups out. I do believe the Arizona lineup came out right before I went live. We have 5 lineups out, including 2 full game lineups. So first, the full Cubs and White Sox lineups are out. So we'll head back to the south side. And for the Cubs, you have Ian Happ hitting 3rd. Simmons is hitting 9th. So while you don't like Simmons in the 9th spot in the order at 2,100, if you're looking for some price savings and not looking to completely punt the position, take a look at Andrelton Simmons. And then for the White Sox, the usual Tim Anderson leading off, Jose Abreu hitting 4th. Somebody else at second base to really kind of think about is the Cubs rookie, Christopher Morel. Only at 2,700, has had a pretty good start to his major league career. Morel is hitting 313, 2 doubles and 2 homers. Again, this is only in 37 plate appearances, but is started off really, really well. So take a look at Morel if you want to maybe save some money at second base. The Arizona lineup is out, so I will just cover them as the Dodgers are not out yet. Ketel Marte is hitting 3rd. That was really the only player that I liked from Arizona, and I'm not in love with it, especially with all the second base options that I like today. But the other full game lineup that is out is the Philadelphia Phillies and New York Mets. So we go back to Citi Field, and Kyle Schwarber leads off today for the Phillies. So that really, really excites me at 4,000. That just emphasizes the lock for me. Alec Beam hitting 2nd. Harper, Castellanos, Segura, JT Realmuto hitting 7th. So that kind of deflates his value, but still a pretty good part of the stack of Phillies. But I am all over Kyle Schwarber. I like Alec Beam. Bryce Harper you're going to pay for, but I really like his matchup today. And then for the Mets, Guillermo is leading off. So at second base and third base eligibility at 2,600. Guillermo could provide some intrigue there if you're going to stack some Mets who generally hit Zach Eflin pretty well. Guillermo leads off. Starling Marte hits second. Alonso fourth. Jeff McNeil fifth. Eduardo Escobar sixth. Dom Smith is in the lineup hitting eighth. So again, you don't like the place in the batting order, but I expect this to be a very high scoring game. Dominic Smith is an option at 2,500 at first base. So those are the lineups that are out. Hopefully you all will have a lot better success than I did last night. Let me know in the comments how you do, what players you ended up using, who'd you use in the pitching market. I am looking at Joe Musgrove, Tony Gonsolin, like Johnny Cueto, but there's really only about 3 or 4 pitchers that I'm really turning to today. So who are you using? Let me know how your lineups go. Thanks for watching and listening. I always appreciate the support. For all of the DFS contests you enter for May 28th, may all your bets be profitable.